There's new leaks in Manchester United's dressing room. This is a story that we've heard under 5 managers now at Manchester United, and it's happening to Erik Ten Hag. But what is being said? I'm going to run through absolutely everything that's happened over these last 72 hours when it comes to Erik Ten Hag and his job security, when it comes to the leak from the dressing room, the frustrations and conversations around intensity over training, how Varane's being treated, how Maguire's being treated, how Sancho's being treated. I'm going to run through absolutely all of that and cover it for you and remind you all that this is not the first time we have heard anything like this when it comes to a United manager. And if we do not change, the cycle will never, ever change at Manchester United. And I'm tired of it. I'm not sure if you are. You can let me know in the comments below. But this week, as a consequence of losing to City and Newcastle, just like any United manager would be, there's pressure on Ten Hag. The Times are suggesting that Ten Hag is on thin ice, whereas The Athletic is saying no, his position isn't under immediate threat. And Fabrizio Romano is reporting the exact same thing. All kind of linked back towards the fact that Ineos are about to take over a 25% ownership stake in Manchester United, take sporting control. Why on earth would they allow the Glazers to sack Ten Hag just before that happened? But Ten Hag, and this is the main thing that I want to focus on in this video, it's around the dressing room leaks. It happens every time. It's happened every time at Manchester United. When shit hits the fan, the players start talking. Back in 2014, Man United's players were raising concerns over David Moyes. They were unhappy under him. I was unhappy under him as well, to be fair. Then Louis van Gaal, he was questioned more than once. Then it was Jose Mourinho. The leaks from the dressing room then as well. And then the same thing happened under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. His tactical acumen was questioned. Oh, he's a PE teacher. Yeah, he's the problem. And then Ralph Rangnick was undermined pretty much the day he took over as United manager. He never had control of that dressing room. It was lost. And then the same thing is now happening under Erik Ten Hag. We have seen this film 4, 5, 6 times before now. Here we go again. Now, I'm going to run through absolutely everything that's been reported from the Daily Mail, from the Manchester Evening News, from the Telegraph and the Athletic. Let's go. This was the first example of it this week, coming from Sammy Motbell from the Daily Mail, saying Manchester United players fear Erik Ten Hag's hardline approach, which is affecting team morale. And the focus here you can see down at the bottom, figures inside the United squad believe Ten Hag's handling of certain individuals had a negative impact on team togetherness. And then the Manchester Evening News and Samuel Luckhurst, the king of the negative news, reported this, and this is where it started. Some United players are starting to doubt Erik Ten Hag. There is an increasing unrest among United players. Dressing room sources have told the Manchester Evening News doubts are growing over Ten Hag's management, and there is simmering resentment among certain players towards teammates. Some players are also unimpressed with the general direction of the club. And Samuel Luckhurst, they're quoting dressing room sources. As I said, he's a king of negative news. He's done this under every single manager post-Fergie. And then the Telegraph followed up with this, saying United's players are turning on Erik Ten Hag over treatment of Jadon Sancho and Harry Maguire. United's players are questioning Ten Hag's strict methods in his handling of Sancho and Maguire, with the Dutch manager heading into a critical run of matches that could potentially decide his fate. It is understood that a number of players in Ten Hag's squad privately have not agreed with his hardline stance on his own players. Not very private if we're reading about it in the Telegraph. That's what I would say. But the same sort of hardline stance that's happened with Ronaldo, the same sort of discipline that's been applied, I would say pretty fairly across the squad, is now causing problems. And the Athletic offers some real insight into what is being said. In their article, they said that the club's hierarchy is still with Ten Hag, but there is a growing feeling of unrest within the squad, with some players beginning to lose faith in him. Ten Hag's intensity, which was widely lauded and seen as a positive last season, is now being viewed as a problem, and there are doubts as to whether he will change his approach to try and arrest the alarming run of performances. The comment about wanting to play more football after the win over Brentford did not go down well in the dressing room. That one there is just a bit of a weird one for me. We weren't playing good football. Casemiro went off. We played better football. Are the players really getting offended by that? Strange. Others raised eyebrows at Ten Hag's decision to leave Varane out of the starting 11, picking Johnny Evans instead. I'll be honest, that one confused me. Varane was then left out of the squad to face Newcastle over illness, and the only thing I can possibly think of was because he wanted Evans to play on the left-hand side of the fence and he was a little bit more naturally suited to that. But that was a bit of a strange one, I have to admit. Furthermore, they're saying that Ten Hag's handling of the Sancho episode, look, some in the dressing room feel the situation could have been handled differently. Now, with the Jadon Sancho situation, I can understand if there are some United players that disagree with it. I don't. I actually agree with how Ten Hag has handled it, but I would understand if there are players inside that dressing room that don't agree with it. Because look, us as a community on the live shows, we don't all agree with how he's handled that. But going back here, when they talk about Harry Maguire was said to be bruised by the efforts to get rid of him in the summer, that one I find weird. How any player inside that squad, apart from Harry Maguire, can be annoyed with how Ten Hag has treated him. He stripped the captaincy correctly after a season of underperforming. He left him out of the squad. He came back in the squad when there were injuries, and he started a few games since. How can you be offended by that? How can any player be offended by that? Now, going back to The Athletic, they said that Ten Hag is not on close terms with many of United's players, and a perceived lack of charisma on his part has frequently been cited. Now, I've spoken about this point in particular quite a lot. Ten Hag is Dutch. I'm someone who a lot of people consider quite rude if they don't know me, because I'm quite direct, I'm quite blunt, I can't really be bothered with small talk. Ten Hag has always struck me as that sort of individual. And surely the players know that by now. They had the warm arm around the shoulder man in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That wasn't good enough for them. They had the hardline stance disciplinarian from Jose Mourinho. That wasn't good enough for them. They had the experienced manager in Van Gaal. That wasn't good enough for them. And now they've got Erik ten Hag. He's just not nice enough. He's not smart enough. That's not good enough for them. I wonder what the common denominator here is. And to finish, The Athletic said that although players are beginning to have doubts, not all of them believe he has lost the dressing room. And I absolutely hope that is not the case. And need I remind you, as I said, this is not the first time that this has happened at United. For me personally, Ten Hag has my support. I want Manchester United to stop this cycle that happens every time. Things are going well. We improve. There might be a little cup there. There might be a little bit, you know what, we might be back. And all of a sudden, when things aren't going right and the dressing room leaks come out and the players are unhappy, the players are upset. Do they have reason to be unhappy and upset? I reckon there are divisions there that Ten Hag has got to figure his way out of. Casemiro getting injured, another muscular injury. It's clear, I would say, that the training is too intense for these players. And that some of those factors are out of Ten Hag's control. We played so many games last season. We travelled to so many places in pre-season. We didn't really have too much rest time. But Ten Hag can probably reduce the intensity in training and hope that that will then translate to a better performance in the game. But Ten Hag is probably of the mindset where if you make training harder than the game, then the game should be easier. Football right now, it's hard, physically difficult. That's why Jurgen Klopp, his team kind of went under for a little bit before he replenished his squad. It was the heavy metal football. It's the intense style that Ten Hag wants. I don't want Ten Hag to be sacked. I don't want Ten Hag to become the latest manager where players leak out information and start undermining him from within. I want those players, look, Scott McTominay, actions speak louder than words, and we haven't exactly seen that sort of you fighting like a dog in some of your performances. But I hope that Manchester United rally. I hope that they do just close the doors off to the noise that's coming from the outside and just start fighting like dogs for their manager, for Erik ten Hag, who showed so much last season, who these players loved last season. These players enjoyed the intensity. These players enjoyed the discipline until you weren't winning games. And then it's a problem. And then all of a sudden it starts leaking to the press. We've been here before. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. And that's why I will not be shouting for Ten Hag to be sacked. That's my personal opinion. Not everybody's going to agree with it. I'm just pig sick of dressing room leaks, undermining managers at Manchester United, and then us starting the cycle all over again.